Quote Retreat by Sandor. One quote, one reflection, one thought that could bring a moment of light and energy to your day. Join me as we take a look at today's quote. The quote is by Amelia Earhart, born 1897, died 1937. It reads, "I want to do it because I want to do it. Women must try to do things as men have tried. When they fail, their failure must be but a challenge to others." Let's take a moment together to explore the messages within this quote. Here's something that might surprise you. In 1932, when Amelia Earhart became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, most American women couldn't even open a bank account without their husband's permission. Yet there she was, soaring above the clouds and shattering expectations.
That's such a powerful contrast. And what really strikes me is how she approached these barriers with such clarity. Her quote, "I want to do it because I want to do it," feels almost revolutionary even today.
You know what's fascinating about that quote? It's part of a larger statement where she says, "Women must try to do things as men have tried. When they fail, their failure must be but a challenge to others." She wasn't just talking about personal achievement. She was laying out a blueprint for social change.
That perspective on failure feels incredibly modern, doesn't it? Like something from a contemporary leadership seminar.
Exactly! And here's what's really interesting. She put this philosophy into action in ways many people don't know about. Like, did you know she created her own fashion line specifically designed for active women? She understood that even clothing could be a barrier to women's advancement.
Well, that's exactly the kind of practical thinking we need more of. She wasn't just breaking barriers in the sky, she was addressing everyday obstacles too.
And speaking of breaking barriers, the statistics about her achievements are mind-blowing. She set 7 women's speed and distance aviation records in just a few years. But what's really remarkable is how she leveraged that success.
What do you mean by leveraging her success?
Well, she was actually one of the first celebrities to create a personal brand. She endorsed everything from luggage to cigarettes, though she didn't even smoke, using that money to fund her flying adventures and support other women in aviation.
That's so strategic. She was basically creating a self-sustaining model for women's advancement.
Right. And she went even further by establishing the 99s, an organization for women pilots that still exists today. In 1929, there were only 117 licensed women pilots in all of America. Today, thanks partly to her groundwork, there are thousands.
You know, that really brings new meaning to her words about failure being a challenge to others. She was building infrastructure for future success.
Absolutely right. And here's something that shows just how forward-thinking she was. She insisted on keeping her own name after marriage, which was almost unheard of in the 1930s. She even had it written into her prenuptial agreement.
That level of intentionality about identity seems so relevant to conversations we're still having today.
It really does. And you know what's interesting? Modern research shows that women often need to feel 100% qualified before applying for promotions, while men will apply when they meet only 60% of qualifications. Earhart's message about the importance of trying, regardless of outcome, speaks directly to that hesitation.
So in many ways, she was addressing issues we are still grappling with today, just in a different context.
Exactly. And when we look at her final flight, the one where she disappeared, she was pushing technological boundaries too. She had modified her Lockheed Electra with extra fuel tanks and the latest radio equipment, really pushing what was possible at the time.
That combination of courage and careful preparation really challenges the narrative of her as just a daredevil, doesn't it?
Oh, completely. And here's what I find most inspiring about her legacy. She understood that change happens on multiple levels. She was simultaneously breaking physical barriers in the sky, social barriers on the ground, and psychological barriers in people's minds.
That's such a comprehensive approach to creating change. She wasn't just focused on one achievement or breakthrough.
And maybe that's the most relevant lesson for today. When she said, "I want to do it because I want to do it," she was really saying that women don't need to justify their ambitions or apologize for their dreams. That message still resonates powerfully today.
Well, looking at current statistics about women in leadership positions across different fields, it seems we still need to hear that message.
You're right. And as we wrap up, I think it's worth noting that Earhart's disappearance, while tragic, became part of her larger message about courage. She knew the risks of that final flight, but she also understood that sometimes the attempt itself is what matters most.
That really brings us full circle to her words about failure being a challenge to others. Even in her final flight, she was lighting the way for future generations.
And that's perhaps her most enduring legacy. The understanding that courage isn't just about individual achievement, but about making it easier for others to follow in your footsteps, whether you succeed or fail.
With that, we conclude this exciting episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate a like and a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Your support truly helps this channel grow. See you again tomorrow. Yours, Sandor.